You successfully exit the elevator. Just kidding. You're dead.
Egg has been planted.
Inside Star Citizen, a storm warning. So they will talk about the tank that is a JPEG. Okay. Let's watch.
Invictus is here, and with it a celebration of all things spaceship and space vehicle. And with today being both RSI and Tumbril Day, we've got introductions to 2 new ground vehicles for you this week, starting with an old friend ready to make our Constellation Phoenix complete, the RSI Lynx.
Ground vehicles in Star Citizen play quite a large role. Obviously, we have these fully realized full planets and moons. You don't always want to spend all your time flying over them in your ships. We're going to have things coming online in the future.
Since when on Aberdeen does the vegetation has this animation?
Time flying over.
Yeah, it just looks like John Crew became an actual marketing department, like in sales department, right?
Over them in your
look at the animation of vegetation. I've spent quite a lot of time on the surface of Aberdeen, you know, and CAG home server, probably, right? Probably.
Ships. We're going to have things coming online in the future, such as weather, that's going to make that prohibitively more dangerous to do. Flying.
I think the fact that they're still trying to make weather a thing that will prohibit you to fly the ships it should be a side thing. It shouldn't be the core gameplay that prohibits you to fly. Like, the ground forces should be capable enough to, like, they should be capable enough to be a force of its own without being constantly afraid of a total annihilation from the air. Yes, I know in IRL it's different, like, air superiority means so much, right? But we're playing a game, and we want those people who are committing to ground gameplay not entirely rely on the what's happening above. Because in that regard, that means, like, there's never going to happen much on the ground unless you artificially stage it. Because if one team wins in the air, that means the other team instantly lost on the ground. So this like notion that goes like about the weather over and over again, I'm not against this being like a side thing that will affect your ability to fly. But I don't think it should be a core gameplay that only with that environment, with that like rule, you can have proper ground gameplay, right? And I don't know if weather is so bad, like, and corrosive to your ships, like, well, I mean, yeah, like, ground forces can be theoretically more protected from that, right? But I don't know. We'll see. But the weather and the vegetation moving look really good. I don't know from which patch, from 4.0 probably they're filming this, but it doesn't do this.
Always want to spend all
in the game right now.
Time flying over them in your ships. We're going to have things coming online in the future, such as weather, that's going to make that prohibitively more dangerous to do.
Flying is the main traversal type, but of course with ground vehicles, there is so much more to explore on planets. It adds so much diversity to the missions that we have.
I feel like ground vehicles are an opportunity for players to have fun and explore the terrain of our lovely planet, not from, going in from a top side, but really getting in and around with the dunes and the broken ships and stuff.
The fun, the dynamic.
Moment.
You get some feedback from the road. If you enjoy driving, it's something for you, isn't it? It's not always a spaceship.
You need to have the options. I mean, if you don't have a ship, how are you going to get from A to B? You need something to get you there. And if you're going from A to B, then someone's in the way.
I mean, that's something I touched on when we watched the videos about the outposts and the settlements. like you cannot even think about getting from A to B around the planet on a vehicle. Like it's hours and hours and hours and hours, right? So to get from one outpost to another. So it apparently, like, hopefully they're thinking on a much smaller scale gameplay that is just not doable with the ships properly and conveniently, right? Where you can just be on one of those outposts, take your vehicle and drive like certain amount of kilometers, like eliminate some threat or something to another camp, you know. How are they gonna do that? Like procedurally generated camps, like enemy camps around a certain like town or whatsoever, so they're not extremely repetitive. I mean, we'll see. I definitely want this. You can just be living at some point and like not even using a ship for a day, right, and just chilling. Who knows?
You get a tank.
At Invictus launch week, we're introducing 2 new vehicles to the game, the drivable RSI Lynx and a concept vehicle, which we'll talk about later.
That's not to the game, John. That's to the pledge store. Right? There is a difference. There is a difference. Introducing the JPEG and introducing the driving vehicle into the game, there's a difference in that.
The Lynx was introduced alongside the RSI Constellation Phoenix back in 2014. It
Aurelian, you're so right. I forgot that is the real game.
was mentioned as it's sort of an add-on to the Phoenix.
The Lynx is RSI's more luxury counterpart to the Ursa rover.
It expands the capabilities. I suppose there's an element of, I don't know, showing off maybe.
It's for the distinguished individual who likes to travel in style.
It serves
Distinguished gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen that are connoisseurs of luxury, right? I don't know. Luxury RSI still looks for me like a pimped up, you know, car that never supposed to be luxury, but it is what it is.
a different purpose to the Ursa. It's very much for VIP transport and exploration.
Oh look, she's trading
We've taken some
Bitcoin
stuff
probably.
from the Scorpius. We've taken some stuff from the Ursa itself. We've invented other stuff from scratch because not everything that we needed already existed. It is fun and fancy.
I think the exterior is amazing. It's got so many great angles and it just looks so RSI. It just comes together really nicely. We took the Ursa and we basically made it beautiful.
And made it in what you call it? And made it an origin.
It trades out some of that rugged utilitarian functionality for just a more enjoyable experience to ride around exploring in the back of.
So it's
I
a lot
like
of
those
clean,
seats, though.
glossy panels.
I always like those seats in Phoenix. I like them here. They did age well.
Higher quality materials and less dense detail, more focusing on angular lines.
We're very constrained with this overall size dimensions. It has to fit in the Phoenix, so we couldn't make the vehicle any longer, wider, taller. So we had to work to the same footprint.
We've tried to not have too much visible mechanics on the outside of it because you don't want to go up to a fancy luxury car and just see the engine just there. You know,
Hey, you actually do want that. I enjoy when supercars have at their back the glass thing and you can see the engine.
what's a car? You know it's got an engine. You don't need to know where the engine is. You just want it to look good whilst you're actually getting from A to B.
It's very nice design. Alberto, our concept artist, did a very good job on that. We had quite a lot of references to new electric trucks, that type of thing. Got a clean day running lights. As you go round to the side, you've got like a peek-in window of the cockpit. So underneath you can sort of see feet. I don't know why you'd want to see feet, but
Oh, Okay, I mean, they can ask a certain streamer, Star Citizen streamer, why you want to see fit. He knows the answer.
But yeah, you can. And then we've got the suspension uprights, which are finished in like a goldy colour, which is quite nice. It's quite ornate for something that sort of takes the load of the vehicle and that kind of thing. A very nice 13-piece door. 13-piece on my side. You're not going to see 13 pieces.
I think my favourite thing on the Lynx is the wheels. They are quite unlike anything else we've got in the game.
We've tried to go for wheels that would seem a little bit more luxurious, so we've gone for a shape that will kind of make them a little bit quieter.
They look pretty cool. They're very evocative of those sort of...
Quieter? Isn't that just the slider in the dev kit to make them quieter or not? Oh god.
Sand racing tires with the big ribs on them. They give it a very strong visual identity from the outside.
My favourite thing about the Lynx is the huge rear window.
Do they know that huge ribs on the wheels is opposite of quieter?
It's got this lovely wraparound window. It just creates a very different.
I'm just memeing, guys.
atmosphere inside the vehicle.
No
Whether
offense
you're having
here.
in-game business
I'm just
meetings
having fun.
or just chilling with your friends, having that scenery so on display right next to you really adds to the whole experience when you're just sat in the back with your champagne.
When you step in, we've got some TVs that pop out of the sides of the panels, some personal storage, and seats, which move. And you can push a button and they will spin around. You've also got a location for storage, which obviously folds away so that if you've got something you just want to put up there, you don't have to see it, but you know it's
Like, a small box of maize, if you're having a party in your Lynx.
there. We've also got a weapons rack. It folds itself away and it pops out. It's got some nice little smoky glass doors on the front of it.
The lighting is designed to be a more habitable area for your luxury passengers.
We have a magnificent...
What's the purpose of it next, Dave? I mean, he just said for your luxury passengers. Okay.
full-length fridge. And off to the left, we've got a couple of shelves where you can store stuff. We don't say it's a drug storage location, but secretly it is a drug storage location. Just don't tell the cops.
No, that's me. That's me. In a Cuddy Blue. I would just remove the helmet. That's fine.
Compared to the base Ursa, the Lynx is a little more agile, a little faster. It is like this because it just has less weight to it, less carrying capability, so it can trade that off for speed. And the
Less carrying capabilities. Shouldn't it depend on actually if the ship, if the vehicle has the cargo or not?
The two people that are sat in the back in relative luxury have a much nicer experience seeing the sights of the universe around them. Compared to the other ground vehicles in events such as the Daymar Rally, I think this is going to be a strong competitor. It's going to be really interesting to see which players prioritize over the other, whether you take the speed of the Lynx versus the increased durability of the Ursa itself. But you don't often see Bentleys racing against other vehicles in real-life rallies, so maybe not as durable as the others.
This is for people that like to get from A to B and look like they're in a good car when they're doing it.
I think the fantasy of having someone chauffeur you around while you're sitting in the back drinking cocktails or the champagne and looking at your business portfolio while
Looking at the pre-rendered GIF animation that is there for years in Hurston Dynamics TDD.
just the world of Star Citizen goes on around you. It's pretty cool.
It's also for people who'd never be caught dead racing in a mule.
So that's the new way to get around the surface of Stanton's planets and moons in style. But what about those who want a bit more pew-pew with their hot,
Let's move to the
looks?
tank, please. I would wish the Lynx would be in development for 5 more years, but we actually got a tank out for some actual, at least half imaginary gameplay, right?
Just go with it? Well, Tumbril has you covered with the latest in planet-side mobility and destroyability with the Tumbril Storm. Let's find out more.
That's interesting, actually.
Hello again. It is once again myself, John Crew. Let's talk about the concept vehicle that we're introducing at Invictus launch week, the Tumbril Storm. The Tumbril Storm is a light/scout
Only screenshots? Damn.
tank from Tumbril. In a lot of combined armed forces, you rely on reconnaissance on the ground to let you know what's coming ahead. And whilst we do have an array of ground vehicles that can do this role, not very many of them are as heavily armored as a tank. And sometimes reconnaissance goes a bit sideways and you need some firepower to help get you out of that situation. So the Storm is really excels in this scenario. It can be ahead of the fleet on the ground, engage targets, and hold its ground before the main force of ground vehicles arrives for backup. One aspect that we wanted to change from the traditional tank and Nova setup is making this energy weapon based. So it had a much greater independence from the main task force on the ground, and that it wasn't constrained by ballistic ammunition.
I mean, the constraints of ballistic ammunition is a very debatable thing. It's just the arbitrary value they can put in. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just more of a balance thing that you actually have to go through the shields of the vehicle you're shooting before you just destroy them.
So it has an energy autocannon on top, twin-barreled, to help lay down firepower. Really.
In before another tank with terrible turret mobility, well, if you look at how this tank is constructed, I think the negative angles on this turret will be pretty good. Look at the angle, how the turret is positioned, and look how theoretically low it can get, at least pointing forward, right?
Only constrained by the size of its capacitors and power plant. The Storm is really designed for supporting Novas in attacks. It can take on most other ground vehicles. If you're brave, you can take on a Nova with it, but you probably want to bring a friend or two to help even the fight.
I received the task to complete a new vehicle. I was told to do a tank, most precisely something that would have become a killer of killers. We had to go back.
What?
Tank, most precisely something that would have become a killer of killers.
Killer of killers? Like a killer of killers, like Nova? Well, I didn't understand the logic of that. Like, is it a new tank killer?
We had to go back to the origins of Tumbril and let this new tank look less like the Nova tank and more like the Cyclone. So it was important to get back that aggressiveness and that dynamics that the Cyclone had. So we opted for something a little less classical and went on a design that is absolutely more related to the manga and anime's world.
Yeah, that is true. Like, in that regard, that's a mix of an Asian, like, anime manga design plus a Batmobile, right? That is actually called Tumbril. Just saying. Just saying.
People see the Storm for the first time, I want them to feel scared. There is no flimsy paneling, there is no...
It's weird, like, it looks like it should hover, right? But, well, you have to understand, like, they will sell you a hover tank later on, so just wait, it's fine. It's not time yet, Rastep.
Beautiful refined surface. This is just optimal and very, very dynamic. So we don't have a lot of parallel lines. We have a lot of X's and V's, very strong shapes that deline what is popularly recognized as dynamic and aggressive. The interiors of the Storm will feel really full of pipes, of fabric, of mechanical stuff. It have to look basically ventral, like you have just been eaten by a machine. So
yeah, and that is something that I was talking about earlier, right? So I think Nova Tank shouldn't have been ever the way they did it with an interior. Nova tank should have always been the same way. It might have had the similar design to what it has right now, a bit smaller, just to lower the silhouette, but it still should have been the same thing. You would have to enter a specific animation, no interior, get in the position, like if it's a multi-crew, multiple people should have been able to either get through one hatch, one after another, or through different hatches, and you should have sit like in this, with the machinery surrounding you, basically, like I said, like you would sit in a real tank, eaten by machinery. Nova tank should have been the same way. That like interior was just a useless thing. It oversized the tank, and it just looks weird.
What we have is very composed design, something that is uncommon in the tank we know today. So what we wanted to achieve when you look at the Storm is fast. Strike fast, move fast, do everything fast, no need to rely on a crew. I like that it looks a bit like an animal. It's very snaky, or looks a bit like a crocodile.
Now, of course, the big question everyone always asks for every new concept promotion is when? When will it go into production? Well, let's go now to the vehicle team in our Los Angeles studio and find out more.
Okay, so they're teasing they're working on it. That's good. My wallet is slow. My credit card is slowly moving up from my wallet. So okay, let's listen to that.
The problem is where my story goes is always I will identify all of the issues that I have to overcome first, and then like build a plan for breaking them down. So I'm trying to think of a
don't
way
disappoint me, dude.
phrasing it, you know? We had a
Don't
lot of
disappoint
cleaning
me.
up to do to make sure it was worthy of the engine, it's ready for engine, it's not going to break anything when it goes in there. And that was what most of the initial white box work we did, at least from an art side.
Okay, so the white box already done. It's not just a fancy concept picture. Okay.
For design, we were more concerned about alleviating a lot of the issues we knew were present with the Nova, just like traversing on uneven terrain,
Good.
exiting the hangar.
Good.
These are issues we solved first.
Explosion.
Rather than waited until later in production and realized there were more different.
I must give them that. They whenever they try to sell you something, they would bash themselves and make fun out of themselves, so a person feels they are with them. We know how you feel. Like, you know, that's like that move that, and like, okay, take my money. At least you make fun of yourself. Take my money, you know, kind of thing. It's always fun to watch when they acknowledge like these issues and make fun out of it.
Difficult tasks to overcome.
So most recently, we
Looks
finished
good.
Gray Box.
You see what I mean? It's like, it's this thing.
To overcome.
So
This like hose or whatever, schlong hose that goes here.
most recently,
It looks like something with like a bullet feed. That's what I mixed it up with. The very similar one, the Gatlings, all the Gatling family has, like the yellow jackets, mantises, whatever they call it, right? But apparently it's just like kind of cables or something. Yeah, it looks like a bullet feed, but it is an energy gun. So it's either they changed the logic of it being an energy gun in the very end after like the, you know, the last moment. But yeah, whatever. It could be they could excuse it that it's just the cables, you know.
we finished Gray Box. We completed all the animation.
This even thing looks like a drum, right? But it could be a battery.
Currently, I am doing a material and detail pass on the tread housings for the Tumbril Storm. This thing has challenged me in ways I haven't been challenged.
It will probably go like in 320. It's a like short concept sale. I actually like it. Yeah. Whenever if they push it, you know, I mean, it can never go live, whatever, in 2 years, 3 years, but it looks like they're trying, you know, sell is going to be ready very soon. And with if it's gonna release quite soon, like in the next patch or so, like I feel fine with these kind of concept sales.
Challenge before in working in the game industry. For example, the treads took a couple different iterations, so we got right, and to be able to get like the right movement as it deforms to the ground planes. This ship is definitely more organic than anything
It's a vehicle.
I'm used to, and I suppose it's like its own challenges, but it's been a learning process.
Yeah, just to continue on to LOD0, finalizing all of the art assets, making sure everything's going to be correct for when we move on to all of our
That's pretty
higher
cool.
detail, tertiary details that will go into it later.
Everything from the way the doors open on the tank to the cockpit itself. When you go inside this thing, it's like stepping into a mech. It's completely different from
Yeah.
any.
That's please, yes, I want to hear that word more in what devs say. Like they're slowly going. You know, see, already we are getting like eaten by machinery and stepping inside of a mech. It's coming, boys. Sooner or later, it's gonna be here. The mechs are gonna be a thing. And I'm not talking about the Titan suit. I'm actually talking about the proper mech.
Other vehicle I've seen in this game.
My favorite thing about Storm is going to be the role of it. The Nova is a very, very big tank. It requires 3 people.
Yeah,
It's got that
Titanfall.
big size 5 cannon. You don't always need a size 5 cannon. Some people may disagree, but I don't think you do. The Storm is a little bit quicker, only requires 1 person. It kind of sits in a really good spot between something very quick like a Cyclone and something a little bit more punchy like the Nova.
I love it.
I'm excited the progress that the team has made on this. It's been a real beauty to work on.
Come
And
on.
it should be a lot of fun
When?
for the players too.
No.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the RSI Lynx is the new benchmark.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. They didn't even say that they're planning to, at least, you know, we're planning to release it on like 320, you know, or something. It's just, I'm really happy to see like what progress the team made, right? And that's it. And then 320 comes in, no tank, and someone in one of the Star Citizen Live asks new tonk when, and the answer will be, well, we're lacking the certain technology, certain tech to implement it. So whenever that tech is done, it's not going to release before that. And that is like 2 more years. You know what I mean?
Mark for traveling planetside in comfort and style. That the Tumbril Storm says you can blow stuff up and look slick as all heck while doing it. And that it's already in production for an intended release in the less than distant future. Now,
Oh my God, Jared! Stop doing this! Stop doing this! Oh, he knows how to troll the best. He trained himself so well.
join us tomorrow for our Invictus All Vehicles Roundtable over on Star Citizen Live. And don't forget to check out everything else that's available in Alpha 319 in between visiting the Invictus showrooms. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week.
My credit card is ready. Yeah, I'll probably get one for sure.
It's your call.
You can make it.
Don't. I believe in you.
Is it a when question?
I'll step out.
Roll a survival check.
14.
You successfully exit the elevator. Just kidding. You're dead.
That's a good one. I mean, that's a good one. Not gonna lie. That's a good one. You successfully exited an elevator. Just kidding, you're dead. That's a good one. Good one. Good one. Good one. The first part was a bit meh because, you know me, all that Imagine fancy stuff is not about me. But I really liked hearing about this tank. My credit card is probably ready. That's gonna be it for today. Thank you for watching. If you will watch this on YouTube, drop me a dislike and unsubscribe, please.